Well, I suppose this is going to be the memorial or in memoriam for, yeah, of all those that passed away. News stations are doing their own best that they can. Oh, I forgot the beginning, didn't I? We got the Fleet Week coming up this weekend from Friday to Monday. So we got that going on. As for today's dates, the 24th of May, 2023 for a Wednesday, and it's the 6:18, actually 8:18 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, the Weaver John C., Roseman, California. Done yet? I'm just trying to get into not trying to get into the mood, okay? I'm not trying to get into the patriotic memorial and remember this and remember that. Because the thing is, the only constant memorial and memoriam I have is regarding my family. Now, people will try to do whatever they can to remember fallen vets, and it's a good thing for people who actually had vets who fought and died, or fallen for whatever reason. But the thing of it is, how I'm dealing with my own is I'm not dealing very well with my own. Memorial Day is supposed to be a time where we actually do give credence to those who have bled and died for the red, white, and blue, literally, who have fought the good fight for the country and for the ideas and everything else that the country is supposed to stand for. The problem is, some other people have different ideas about it. They want to make days like this more miserable for everybody else. And on a day like this, hell, I'm even having a hard time trying to do this damn video. Well, I wanted to get a shot of it. Maybe make a little arrangements if I can. Yeah, believe it or not, I actually have someone in law enforcement, relative. But I also have someone who's also, well, family that were military and law enforcement of sorts. A little silent memorial, so to speak. It hurts because my brother was among those of uniform who wore it proudly. They didn't die in uniform. You know, there were things happening in that time that prevented them from being, from him wearing anything with a uniform, emblems or insignias of a uniform. Anything representing the country. Not that he was a bad man, but mistakes were made and errors of rush of judgment screwed things over left and right. That prevented him from being honorably recognized by his own country that he bled for a lot. I guess you're supposed to be perfect in health and mental status when you're going into the military to be the military machine. Not supposed to be bringing mental baggage with you. For me, it would have been physical baggage, but I was prevented. My baggage would not let me go in. My brother, different story altogether. He was still he was still what they would call a mama's boy. And he fought like hell for mama and family. And he'd fight like hell for the underdog. He fought in the military. In the boot camp, company commanding officer, non-comp. One would face the wrath of my brother when he got pushed the buttons too damn hard. My brother didn't exactly have that much self-control when it came down for family. He just did not insult family. That was everything to him. For some people, they probably would have considered it immature for my brother, or be immature, period. A little boy lashing out because you hurt his mama. You hurt him. And he didn't take too kindly to that. Military is supposed to train you up to discipline. Well, he had all the discipline he had at home, but defending mama. And it cost him a great deal, but it also opened up a door for him to enter the world he wanted to go in the first place. He wanted to be a frogman. He came out of as more than a frogman. Special operations. He became a SEAL. My brother came home from the first boot camp. Well, stayed home for a short time before he had to be deployed. And he was still my brother. But after he came home the second time, he was changed. It was said that when you're in your first combat mission and things happen, it changes a person. He was angry, confused, and he felt like his soul had been violated because he had committed a grievous act. He killed. When you're in the military, you kill. It depends on which particular job that you've got trained for that you are going to do that, regardless of which branch. In boot camp, they train you how to kill, period, or how to defend yourself. And that was my brother's situation. They trained him how to kill, and he did. And it changed him. He had to go out and get help for it. He came back home understanding more. Compartmentalized, they call it that. He shoved all of his anger and his fears into a box. And he had to keep that up while he was serving. But there were things happen on board a ship that certain traditions should never have been happened. And he was telling me about it decades later. It embarrassed the hell out of him, scared the hell out of him, and took something out of him. He can never get it back. It changed him a great deal in the military, where he would do his duty, but he would also wanted to run away. Absence, unauthorized absence, missing ships movement. Certain items came up, and he had to come back home. He came back home to help Ma and me out dealing with Grandma, and also dealing with the loss of Aunt May. He wasn't allowed to come home for emergency leave regarding Aunt May, but he was going to be home for Mama to take care of Grandma. Grandma had been stroke ridden about a year, and Ma was having a hard time struggling taking care of her. So Dave took nearly a year and a half on it. And he had to get different jobs to keep supporting the family. But he was also a changed person. He was scary. But he was also in trouble. One day, one of my uncles came over to see how Mama was doing. And he noticed David was without papers. My uncle gave my brother a stern warning. If he ever came back, he told my brother would not be there, but give himself up to the system. Otherwise, he would be forced to arrest my brother. And Dave knew my uncle was a man of his word. My uncle, for any kind of wrongs or faults he may have had, I don't know what the hell they were. All I saw was a good man. Trying to raise two guys the best he could, along with a mother that actually was stability in the family. He had served in Korean War. He was at Incheon. But there was no other details coming out of him because of what he experienced. That's how my brother and him had related so well right after my brother was completing boot camp. They would have experiences to talk about. And they had, especially when my brother was seeing my uncle first time going through the unauthorized absence at home. He was trying to take care of grandma. So they did swap some stories and share some things and some strong concerns. And my brother just had to talk to him about it. And my brother knew that my uncle meant everything. Everything to him. Almost like a father figure. Had a lot of respect for him. My brother had to do about a year, or a good stretch, anyway, less. And came out with a bad conduct. They called it the big chicken dinner. It was the fastest way my brother could get out of the Navy. He didn't want to stay in there any longer. He was good at his job, but the problem is, technically he may be good at his job, but inside he was breaking his heart and breaking his will, I guess. And a lot of things happened there that he just could not reconcile. It was only decades later that in support groups and different times when I was talking with my brother, I'd realize what was going on, and he'd tell me the stories about it, and I'm like, and there was no way he could have gotten help in the military for him. Tried, but nobody would pay attention or help him out. The only thing he would do at home is try to struggle with his addiction issues that he developed during his service and became out of control after when he left the service and changed him a great deal to the point where he damn near killed himself. And he realized he hit bottom. And he reached out for help with me and Ma. We weren't too happy about it. We thought we'd written him off, but we still cared enough about him to see what the hell was going on. We took him back in, got him in a support group, and he had been hunting the halls for a good 30 plus years, getting clean, sober, and becoming an old timer. But he would tell people exactly what the reality was. There had been times my brother had tried to stretch the truth out at times. Try to become larger than life, only to feed an ego. I knew that one too damn well. And he wasn't a bad man. He was a little boy still trying to gain attention. But he was a big boy, who got a lot of attention, a lot of respect. The gorilla reminds me of him. Have you ever seen films or documentaries about chimpanzees and gorillas in the wild? Some of the nature of the gorillas would be playing with each other. My brother used to do that. He'd get his shirt, pull it over his head, and act like a damn gorilla. Just. I mean, I don't know if I could do this without killing myself. No, no. I'm not about to do that. He'd basically. He'd flip the shirt over him, exposing his chest area. And then he'd be all over the place, his arms dangling all over the place, and he'd be playing with people at home. He did that a few times, I remember, in his life. Especially when we had picnics, or actually when we actually had barbecues going on in one particular home or another. That's my brother. One big gorilla. It got to a point where I decided when I was working over at Universal Studios, I might as well get something that reflected him. I had gotten a gorilla with a voice box. He kept it in his bedroom for a long while, but put it back in storage. And then we lost it. That's without a voice box. But it's a physical manifestation of my brother was in heart. Memorial Day is supposed to help you remember the vets who've had stories, how they lived, how they died, what the families were like, what they were like. The hardest damn thing is when you're so damn close to them. You can laugh, you can smile, and then you have to crawl into a space and just tear your guts apart. I said before in some of my videos that I got a trigger word that's got remote extensions, even extending outwards, anything relating to the damn trigger word or the trigger thing. All hell breaks loose. And that's how I've been feeling these days. There is no accounting day. Actually, if there was, I'd be telling about my mama. Maybe on her birthday. I will. Most of I had spent a hell of a lot of time with my brother as an adult. We grew up as kids. I'd seen him go through his hell. But I've also seen him go through recovery as well. I guess we were as tight as anybody else can be. We watched each other's back. We protected each other. Even after if something happened and we were in the wrong, well, we still had to pay the price on that one with Mama. You don't forget her birthday. You don't forget Mama's Day. And you sure as hell don't forget Christmas. I don't care if the excuse was good or not. You just didn't. Those are the 3 major days that you really didn't screw around with Mama on that one. brother did. My mother and my brother had this unique relationship with each other. They could kid each other like crazy, drive each other crazy, push each other's buttons. And at the end of the day, if there wasn't a hole punched in a door or something slammed, I guess my brother was having a bad day during that time. I guess I don't know. It's holidays and anniversaries like this that usually gets to me because the memories of their actions and of their my time spent with a lot of them, a lot of time spent with them. I know I've already been triggered too much on this one, but Memorial Day is coming up on Monday, and today's only Wednesday. I can only say about my family and how a holiday would mean to us. Normally, there would be a barbecue at home if we actually had the space for it. We had an extended family at one time. They're gone now. Woof, vanished, living their own lives and cut off communications. Sucks. And feeling this right now is just one of the hardest damn things I'm going through these days. Is not having the support to deal with the grieving and not having the strength to carry on, but still struggling like crazy. Some mornings I can get up, and other mornings I just wish to God I was dead right there. But I don't want to go through that again. If I go through it one more time, I'm not coming back. I'm supposed to remember my family. I'm supposed to be holding on to the memories and talking about them a great deal to keep my family's memory alive. Because nobody else would care to hold on to those memories. Nobody else would care to acknowledge anything. My family meant the world to me. My mother and my brother. And it's hard as hell to live on some days where I just have to keep carrying forward. Especially when I have to keep remembering the holidays coming up. And I have to talk about things related to them, relating to the holiday season. This month's coming up in a few days. It'll be the anniversary of my brother's birth. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not. The thing of it is, I probably would have to go to a store and purchase a can or a bottle of Coca Cola. And then I would have to have maybe one or two of them with me. One to slowly drain it, and another one to store in there. I can't store fruit in there. I wish I could. I could store a pomelo if I wanted to. She loved her pomelos, but she also loved her candy as well. I have to get me a small container to put some candy in it and store it in there for her. Because that would be my mama. I feel like I haven't done enough for them in life or in death. I feel like I have just stalled out in living when the grieving kicks in and an depression is backing it up, it makes it hard for me to focus on the things that matter a great deal. It makes it hard for me to love my family one more time like this. It makes it hard as hell for me to even acknowledge it. Grief has a hell of a way of changing people around left and right, and it's been changing me around a great deal all my life. It's like I try to use an example of one time a stage. You're in a huge ass theater. Huge ass. You can't even tell how far the rows and seats are. How many tiers that you got? Focus on this one small stage. And there's this concentrated beam of light on the stage. And whoever's got the spotlight for how long it is, that's the lifespan of the person. And they're going to make a difference one way or another. You see them grow up, you see them mature, you see them do things, you see them die. You see them spill their guts out. Whatever they're going to do to get the act going. Off camera or off stage, behind the curtains, activity goes. There's a huge lineup. There's a huge lineup of people trying to get onto the stage. Others are dreading it because they know once they've done their act, they gotta leave permanently. Exit stage left. But you don't even realize that in the background, because while you're blinded in that light on the stage, you don't see the audience. You don't see or hear the reactions. You know your reactions. You know what you're doing. And that little time and space and under that light, that's your time. And that's all the thing you know. And after it's gone, you'll probably hear, next. You want to stay a little longer, but sometimes you get the hook. And you don't realize you're getting led to the backstage area, leading to the rows. And then you're seeing that half of them are filled with people that you've already seen on stage already. And your seat's coming up with your name on it. So now you get to enjoy the show. You can hardly ever see, probably in the background, of those working to make sure that your show, your how long it is for fame is on there. Recognized, applauded, cheered, laughed, cried at. Audience reacting, but you couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear or see it while you're on stage because you didn't know. You're not supposed to know. You get booed and get jeered, you get hissed. Probably have popcorn thrown at you or something. But you won't know it. And then you're off stage and you're in the audience and you're seeing things working. And then you realize it's not so dark. It's kind of comfortable light. You did your job. You did your show. And now you get to enjoy the rest of it. How long you're going to be in the audience for. You don't know. But you get to see everybody else You get the root, cry, yell, scream, whatever. They're living on the stage right there in that light. And when they're gone from their fellow actors and now their audience. Will they ever get a shot back? I don't know. I don't know. So I believe they would. Probably sneak back in to do another episode if they could. But you get to see the stagehands at work. You get to see the people working. The directors, the assistant directors, the gaffers, the lighting. You get to see the background as it's happening. But the person enveloped in that light, they have no clue. But you can't get to that audience unless you do the stage. And we are all on stage. In our own time, in our own way. Blinking an eye for some, an eternity for another. And it's a hell of a way to think about things like that, including when you're talking about those you cared about who made their own life on stage. Jim Carrey did a movie a long time ago. I think it was back in the 80s or 90s. And he played a character. He played a character who was born on a stage and discovered his life was all about a stage. They were going to focus an entire production on this one guy growing up, and everybody's an actor. All there'll be real emotions on certain things here and there, but it's all directed in the background. And he discovers at the end it was all an act. And there's a way for him to get off of it. And he had been watched for decades on television worldwide. And now he's going to go outside and meet him. And meet real life. And there'll be no more show. I didn't get, and I didn't understand back then. Now I do. Now I do. You know, I've watched television and movies and read books. I try to be immersive in the fictional. Try to understand it a bit. And sometimes when I looked at all these writers, what they're talking about, growing up as a kid didn't make sense. You get older, oh my God, they're blatant. They're apparent and they're blatant. Oh. Some things become so damn crystal that you can't even decipher what's real and what's not sometimes. They're indistinguishable. But it's the choices we make that determine, is it real or is it Memorex? Anyway, as I said before, my family means a great deal to me. The holiday seasons are the hardest thing to live through because the memories are there. The emotions are going to kick my ass today. And whatever I had planned today was already screwed up anyway. Memorial Day is supposed to be dealing with the loss of those who've bled and died in the service of their country. but also in service of each other and for others. And this is a hard and somber day for those who have to be survivors. We're the ones that are going to have to carry on traditions and memories. We're the going to be the ones that have the harder task because now we're the caregivers, caretakers of those memories and those incidents and stories. We're the ones that have to keep sharing it with others left and right. No matter how crazy and how insane and how it's going to tear us apart left and right. Because that's how that's that's how it is. So to those who have fought alongside those and survived, but their buddy hadn't. I hadn't been in combat, but I had been on stage. I hadn't seen people die in front of me except family. Ones who actually sacrificed a lot for their country to save family. For the ones who sacrificed and gave all. Not much of a chug-a-lug. A somber Memorial Day for one and all.